I'm sorry this video is coming out a bit late considering we're pretty far along in July already, but I've been working on some bathroom renos in my house, so I've been a busy bee and my house has honestly been a mess. Guys, I really want to still get to this video because I read some amazing books this month. I only read 4 books, which, you know, however many books you read, doesn't matter as long as you love them. You read 1 book an entire year, but it was the best book you've ever read. Bravo, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, read 4 books this month, which is low for me typically, but like I've been saying, I'm doing bathroom renos and hectic, obviously, so haven't had as much time to read as usual. So the first book I read in June was The Queen of Nothing. So this is the last book in the Cruel Prince series, Folk of Air series. Sorry, was the last book in the Folk of Air series. If you want my full review on the full Folk of Air series, you can watch my review on it. There's a whole video specifically just about the Cruel Prince series. I think it's like 2 videos ago in my log, so if you want to check that out, go check it out. Specifically the last book, The Queen of Nothing, I liked a lot. I don't know if this one's my favorite or the second book, but I think this one really tied together the entire series very well. I'm not sure how I feel about the ending. I think it was good, but I think there's still some missing, and I wanted the ending portion of it to be drawn out more. Like it was building to this like fight scene essentially, and the fight scene I think was literally only like 2 pages. So I'm gonna give this a 4 stars. And if you want more in-depth on how I felt about this book, how I feel about the characters in the series, how I felt about all the books in the series, go check out that video I did. Maybe I'll pop it in the cards for you. All right, the second book I read was The Inheritance Game. Because I love the Cruel Prince series so much, I thought maybe I'd pick up another YA like dystopian fantasy-esque series. This is not fantasy at all. It's mostly like dystopian, I would think. And I was highly disappointed. To me, it's just a bit too YA. I didn't love it that much because of how YA it was. Just, you know, concepts that weren't that entertaining to me. If I was in high school, I think I would have loved this. Basically, this is about a girl named Avery, and she inheritances. She gets a lot of money from a rich man. And everyone else in this man's family did not get this large sum of money that she did. And she doesn't know him at all. She doesn't know anyone in this family at all. She's not related to him. Her parents aren't related to him. There's like no tie. So she's like, why did I get the money, you know? And basically this older man who died, gave her the money, loves games. So we follow along with her and the 4 boy nieces of the guy who died, going through a sort of game to figure out why she got the money. Now this book finishes without finding that out, and still it didn't hook me enough to want to read the next one. Like, I will not be reading the next book in this series. Is it good? Like, is it a cool concept? Yes. Did I fall in love with any of the characters? Not at all. Like, do not care about any of the characters. The next book I read this month was Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. And Carly Fortune is now going to be an author I will always pick up a book for. She is my newfound author of 2022. I love her. This is her first book too, like what the heck? And it popped off, like this was all over TikTok, everyone was reading it, and for good reason, okay? This book gives you Muskoka nostalgic high school summer vibes, like perfect summer vibes going to a cottage in Muskoka as a teenager. Oh, so much nostalgia there, which is why I really loved it. But also, I think this really was popular because it's the middle of summer, and when you're picking up a book for summer, like this encompasses summer perfectly. Okay, basically this girl named Percy is going to a cottage with her dad as a teenager, and she meets this boy next door, and they kindle a beautiful love, basically like a cute high school love. But honestly, they are soulmates for life. You can just tell that they have a connection that's gonna make them soulmates for life. But we're following along with her present self as well as the teenager self, and her teenager self is falling in love with the guy, but her present self is seeing this guy years later, and we're discovering what the fallout was. So they had kind of a fallout in their relationship. Sometimes fallouts can really ruin a book. Like sometimes they can be super annoying, like it's just a miscommunication that made them fall out, but this fallout was realistic, okay? I really enjoyed the way they fall out, if that makes any sense. It just was more realistic for their age and what scenario they were in their like romantic love story. Like it just made more sense. Like I understood the fallout, and it wasn't, you know, a book fallout. It was like real life romance, realistic fallout. So it was great in that sense. But if you're going to a beach or you just want summer vibes, pick this book up. This is the epitome of summer, especially if you're a Canadian. Canadian summers all around. Like this gave me such flashbacks to when I was a teenager. Basically, me and my family would go up to my cottage with my cousins, and every year we would go to Muskoka to a cottage and we would all vibe together. And then there's always going to be like a couple other cottages near us that were filled. And I remember one year, no, maybe 2 or 3 years, there was a group of boys at one cottage that were like similar age to us. And we were like, you know, teenagers, like, ooh, these boys, like, let's hang out with them. And this just gave me that kind of same feel. Like this girl was like neighbors with the cottage boy, and it was like that same kind of feel. And just the scenery, talking about going to the cottage every year, escaping your high school life, and it feels like a completely different life when you're at the cottage. Like beautiful, 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 beautiful. And I will be reading more Carly Fortune for sure. Now onto a little bit more of a deeper book is My Dark Vanessa. This was the last book I read in June, and it blew me away. This is not typically something I read. It's a little bit more dark and contemporary and touches on a topic that is deep, and typically I go to reading as an escape and not necessarily something to like explore meaning or deep dive into traumatic situations. But this book blew me away. It was so well done. There was so much empathy built into the writing, and the author took this topic and wrote it so well. We got the point of view that we typically don't see. I could just go on and on, but let me first explain a little snippet of what this is about. My Dark Vanessa is about a 14-year-old girl named Vanessa who is getting groomed by a 42-year-old who is her teacher at the boarding school that she is going to. Now, we are seeing the point of view of Vanessa, who's 14, but also the point of view of Vanessa as an adult. The Vanessa as an adult is working through the idea that potentially she was a victim. So whereas when we're seeing the 14-year-old view, it is her, you know, going through the process of getting groomed and what that looks like. When she's an adult, there's another girl who's approaching her to try to get her to share her story because she went through similar things with the exact same teacher named Jacob. But to Vanessa, she does not feel like she was groomed or mistreated, and hasn't really come to terms with that yet. So it's that story of her relationship with Jacob and her coming to terms, or a little bit digging deeper into like what happened to her, and how she can kind of relate to some of these other girls who are coming forward. And so the way that Kate Elizabeth Russell wrote about such deep thoughts in this story and was able to unpack such emotions within like one paragraph or one sentence blew me away. Like next level writing, next level. I really just want to share a couple tabs that I put in this book. So I have 3 tabs in this book. I should say that they are a little bit darker, so if you feel this book is too much for you or it could be a trigger for you, please fast forward through this. I have no offense taken if you need to fast forward through this. Reading this book was extremely uncomfortable the entire time I was reading it. I cannot say that I actually enjoyed reading this book. Like, at no point did I feel like I wanted to read it, if that makes sense. But when I was done the book, I felt what I had read was such an impact and so empathetically done that it will stick with me forever. But if I gave this to someone else to read, I would know that they would feel uncomfortable reading it. And so if the scenario that this book talks about is something that you feel like you shouldn't read, don't read it. Don't read it. You know, it's not a comfy outing of this topic. It's not comfortable. So here's the first quote. My battery is dying, so hopefully we can get through this. Okay, so it goes, "The 9 other students pack up their things and leave the classroom to carry on with their lives, to practice and rehearse in club meetings. I leave the room too, but I'm not part of them. They're the same, but I'm changed. I'm unhuman now, untethered. While they walk across campus unbound and ordinary, I soar trailing a maple red comet tail. I'm no longer myself. I am no one. I'm a red balloon caught in the boughs of the tree." And this scene, or this, her saying this, is right after her first physical grooming situation. And this one line of her saying, "I'm a balloon caught in the boughs of a tree," I just found so well done. Like, to talk about that topic of you feeling like all of a sudden you were a different person, but not really understanding why. Like, she feels like she will never relate to anyone else in her class, and that her old self is in that balloon that was carried away. Like, so impactful. The next one I want to read is kind of in the middle, when she's feeling more like a victim, or at least less in control, and coming to terms with his role in this relationship. So this is what she says. "I wonder if he really believes that. He touched me first, and he said he wanted to kiss me, told me he loved me. Every first step was taken by him. I don't feel forced, and I know I have the power to say no, but that isn't the same as being in charge. But maybe he has to believe that. Maybe there's a whole list of things he has to believe." The way Kate Elizabeth Russell is able to express feeling that power dynamic in one paragraph, like emotion that she expressed in one paragraph here in such a powerful way. I just had, like, there was so many times in this book like that I was blown away. Okay, so then the last one I'm gonna read. This is at the end when she's talking to a therapist and is coming to terms with what has actually happened to her, as more of a victim versus someone who was more in love with him, and their relationship being more of like an actual loving relationship. So she says, "I can't lose the things I've held on to for so long, you know? I just really need it to be a love story, you know? I really, really need it to be that. Because if it isn't a love story, then what is it? It's my life. That has been my whole life." The way that this is written is so powerful, so uncomfortable, but uncomfortable in the way that it should be, and empathetic in the way that it should be. This author did such a good job, and it's such a powerful read, and it will stick with me forever. Like, I cannot unthink this book, and I don't think I'll ever unthink this book. Like, I have no words. Again, so uncomfortable reading it. Like, I don't want to read it ever again. Like, it was so uncomfortable, and I did not enjoy reading it, but also I cannot stop thinking about it. So, well, I don't know, but let me know your favorite book from June and your least favorite book from June, and give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. I will be having more consistent videos coming. Sorry for the 1 week of hiatus, but I will show you my newly renovated bathroom when I'm done, so hopefully it'll all be worth it, you know? But anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!